Boom. Hey everybody. Um Making sure that everything is good. Sorry for the delay. My I don't know, my computer wasn't recognizing my webcam and I had to reboot. So, sorry about that. Um oops. Hold on one second. Excellent. Just making sure everyone can see me or hear me. Just give me a quick thumbs up in the chat. Make sure we're good. How's everyone doing? Man, I see some people said that there's some sunshine, and we got lots of people joining today. Cool. From all over the world. I love this, how we could just join from all over the world. I know I say this a lot, but man, it still just blows my mind. We got Chow from Rome and from Missouri. Oh, man, Bronson, Missouri. Never been there. Mikhail from Germany. Mr. Workman's in the house. Rob Zeeble, the Yoda himself. Sweet, loud and clear. Cool. Very good. I remember to scale my display down this time so that we can see things a little bit bigger. So that's really cool. So I've been working really hard on yesterday specifically. I put in probably like 19, 20 hour day or something like that on getting Foundation 6.3. I didn't plan on this being 6.3 actually. It was going to be 6.25, but I don't know, I just added a bunch of stuff and it seems like it's a 6.3 release. We now have access to Font Awesome 5, right? Pro, and it's something I promised way back when I launched this Foundation 6 back in November. And I know a lot of people have been trying to get it and they get confused because they try to use the Font Awesome code and then they're like, no, you have to use 4. And so this is kind of stage 1 of Font Awesome support. There are some things basically I had some ideas on how like to do the ultimate Font Awesome implementation, and I kept delaying to do that. And you know what? And I just figured let's just get something out the door so people can actually start using Font Awesome 5, right? Because that's really, really important, right? Because we've never had a Font Awesome 5 support in any RapidWeaver add-on, so this is really cool. And what's really awesome is that I have purchased a theme license for Font Awesome 5, and you get access to pro icons for any website that you build with Foundation 6. So that's really exciting. It is licensed for Foundation, so you can only use this in the Foundation theme. You don't have license; it's not licensed to be used in any other theme. It can only be used in the Foundation projects. Okay. And this is a pretty big deal because you can't purchase that license anymore. Like they don't have that option available. I spent a lot of money for it way back when they first launched Font Awesome 5. Well, before they launched Font Awesome 5, right? It's kind of like I invested, right? I bought really early on, still spent a lot of money on it so that you guys can get free access to it. And what's really cool about that is now, I mean, just like in the past, I think 6 months or so, Font Awesome 5 is actually a subscription. So it's actually cost you $100 per year if you wanted to get Font Awesome 5 Pro. Let me say that again. It is $100 per year for Font Awesome 5 Pro. And you get it with Foundation, which was $100 one time. Like that's pretty awesome. Like if that is a no-brainer, it's in itself for Foundation 6. Wow, that's pretty cool. So you have access to every single icon now, almost 8,000 icons. You can now access for your Foundation projects. 8,000 icons, really, really cool. But there's more to this update than just Foundation Font Awesome. Man, that's gonna be hard. Foundation Font Awesome. I'm gonna mix those up in my tongue all day long. But yeah, some really cool other stuff coming on with Foundation 6.3, and let's dive into some of that. Actually, let me go ahead. I'm gonna open up my release notes. get my release notes open. So I do have to say I had planned originally on shipping 6.3 this morning. But then in the shower this morning, the think tank, um, I just thought about some other things that I wanted to test out and play with, and maybe tweak the font awesome a little bit this afternoon, and then hopefully we'll get it released by tomorrow, if not early next week at the latest. Okay, but there's a lot of really great stuff. So let's look at some of the other stuff. Let me go ahead and let me get my screen share going. Okay. Boop, boop, boop. All right, let's get this resized a little bit so that you guys can see the whole window. I need to create like little screen guides for myself so that we can make sure that we always see the window. Okay, there we go. Actually, I wonder if I do this. No, never mind. Okay. So here is now. Actually, I just today upgraded to Rapidweaver 8.6 was released today. Looked like it had some bug fixes. Hopefully, it doesn't cause any issues with what we're going to be demoing today. But yeah, actually, I'm going to go ahead and you know what? I am less important than this screen. I'm going to go ahead and reduce myself a little bit so we can see more of the screen. All right, let's do that. Okay, now I'm tiny. Now we get more screen real estate to play with stuff. Because this is more important than you seeing this beautiful face. Okay. Sweet. So before we dive into Font Awesome, I'm gonna dive into and show you just some other things that we've done. Okay. I'm not gonna dive into every single little tweak, but I know some of you have wanted some of these features. So I'm not gonna demo everything. I'm just maybe we just do a quick run through of everything. First off, inside, let's see, anchor buttons. So in 6.2, I added a lot of smooth scroll features, and now mostly to menus, right? So if you wanted to smooth scroll to various parts of the page, you can also adjust like the speed of stuff and stuff like that. So, but if you were using an anchor, you didn't get those options for tweaking the animation speed. So now in an anchor button stack, if you click on smooth scroll, you'll see that we have all those the smooth scroll options to a point, right? So all the options that we had in the menus that were added in 6.2 are now in the anchor button, and they're also in the anchor button that's a part of button group. Okay. With that said, speaking of button group, actually here, let me go ahead and just clean up some of this stuff here. We don't need all this. Okay, speaking of button group, button group got some new settings. So now there is a no gap option. So let's hear. I'm going to show you. Let's open that in Rapidweaver preview. So if we use this, if I turn on, go to button group. So if you see, when you add a button group, it actually has like a little gap in between each button, right? And if you want to turn that off, you just click on no gaps, and you now have a bar of buttons, right? So with no gaps. So that's kind of a cool option. There was a couple other things in here. I added more horizontal alignment options. So you can really not make it a bar. You can kind of have it like a group of buttons, and you can kind of justify them and align them. These options are very similar to the alignment options that you have in rows and stuff like that, in columns and whatnot. Next up is we now have the ability to have hollow and clear button groups. So, and also if you use hollow and then no gaps, it kind of makes a nice, a proper no gap bar. So that's pretty cool. So that was some small tweaks to button group. You can also on the individual buttons choose the style as well. So like if you wanted this particular one, let's say if we go back to make them all solid, and then on this last button you want it to be clear, you can do that. right? So yeah, so we have a few override options as well in button groups. Okay. Let's see what else we had. Oh, the underpinnings. So, the theme is actually updated to Foundation 6.6.2, which is the open source framework. It's the latest version. I just released that to the world last week. Actually, it was on Monday. So, I just released that on Monday. So this now has This is running the latest and greatest. That has a bunch of good bug fixes, including the fix for the slider looping. I know a lot of you were having issues with slider loops because it was busted. Sorry about that, and but that's been fixed now, so that's cool. All right, the next ones are with swatches. So the next bug fixes that are, or the next modifications are kind of with swatches. So let's look at what we've done with some swatches now. I, we've been, Foundation 6 has been gaining some steam. I've, been listening to feedback from users and trying to get an idea of where they are struggling. Okay. And I reorganized some of the settings in the swatches. Very little. It's not drastic, but I think it's a small change that will make things a little bit simpler for some people to understand. Okay. And I'm looking at a background swatch right now, but these settings are really, these swatch selector settings are the same across all swatches, right? So I'm just gonna, focus on this background swatch for right now, but it's the same everywhere. Okay, so here we have at the top, we still have the swatch selector settings, right? Where you choose your class, or you can choose, this is now called element instead of component, mostly because component was too big of a word. So it was kind of getting cut off. I think having a clear, message under the button is a good thing. And then this one is still CSS selector, right? So, again, just having this kind of in its own group before, these settings down here that are under optional conditions were also in this, and I think it was confusing people, right? So these are really all you need. You need a class. You can choose a predefined element from this list, okay? And then there's a CSS selector, okay? So really that is all you need, right? Class is the big one, right? That's, I think, going to be the default and mostly what we're going to be using. But now under optional conditions, before parent class was only available with the element, but now you can actually use it along with the class as well. And maybe I'll give a quick demo of that in a little bit. And then we still have the state and the media query, okay? But again, if you set these to the default values, it's just, they're optional. You don't need to change these or set these at all. And I think adding these to the optional conditions, is a good thing. Okay. Sweet. So let's quickly show you what this parent class setting does. Since we had it before, again, when we chose element, but let's show you what we can use it for when we are using it with a class. So let's say, for example, I'm going to go ahead and let's just add some text into here. Just so we have some content. I'm not going to go for any style points right now. And let's call this text, let's add this a class. Let's just call it, my text. Okay. Okay. So we got my text. Oh, I already had my text. Okay. So my text, here is set to, have a background. I have a background. Here, let me delete all of these just to get any confusion out. We are going to delete all of these. Okay. Okay. So here we go. I have a background swatch just for cleanliness. I'm going to delete that too. Okay. I have a background swatch. I set the class to be my text, and the background color is blue. And as soon as I put text here, if you notice here, I put the class of my text, made the background color blue, right? That's how simple swatches are. Okay. So you define a style, you give it a class. You can, if you want, you can call it a tag. Okay. but it's a class. That's what it is in programming speak. In web speak, it's called a class. You go to text, you type in my text, and there we go. But let's say I'm going to copy and paste this. Okay, let's say in this one though, like normally I want my text to have a background color of blue. But let's say there are some cases where I want my text to have a different background color, right? So let's say on this one, I want it to be orange. Okay, this is probably gonna look horrible. Okay, but I don't want all of them to be orange. I only want some of them to be orange. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the parent class here, and let's just do orange. Okay, so right now I'm gonna in this swatch, I'm gonna set a parent class to be orange and the class for my text. So basically, we need to have two classes now set. I need to have orange and my text. So how do we do that? Well, it needs to be a parent. Okay, so if I go to this column stack, okay, I'm going to go ahead and set this to be orange, and there we go. So on a parent of text, I put a class of orange. So now this swatch targets orange my text, and that's exactly what we get. Anything that is all the my text that is inside of an orange will get that. Now it doesn't need to be the direct parent. Like if I put, let's target this entire container. If I put orange here, what do you think is going to happen? Right? I'm going to guess that anything, all of the my text that's within this will be orange. And that's exactly what happens, right? Because I have a parent. It doesn't need to be the direct parent. It could be any parent, as long as my text is inside of something that has a class of orange, it now gets a different style, right? So this gives us a little bit of power, a little bit more flexibility with these swatches. And again, it's completely optional. If you don't set a parent class, it just works exactly how it was before. Okay. So hopefully that helps out. And as I'm going, go ahead and, pop in questions in the chat, and hopefully we'll answer them as we go along. Cool. I don't see any questions right now. So just looks like a lot of thumbs up, and you guys are liking what you're seeing. Very cool. Okay. So that kind of does it with swatches. I guess I should add fonts. I reorganized the font swatches a little bit. So if you look at the settings for font styles, we have assigned to page elements up at the top, and then we have our fonts, the swatch selectors below that. Before they were kind of in a different order. It's just the way these stacks are built. This just kind of made it a little bit easier for me and more logical. So there we go. And the same is true for fonts, right? So if you load a font, you have the same thing. Assigned to page elements is up top. Chances are, if you're loading a font, at least, you're probably going to want to use these assigned to page elements instead of using swatches, right? Swatches the swatch classes are convenient for this sometimes if you want to assign a font to specific things. But a lot of times when we're loading fonts, you want to, assign it to as a page default or assign it to all your headers, so on and so forth. Okay, so now the main event, right? Why not two classes instead of a parent class? You could do that as well, Marco. I mean, you could assign two classes to something. It just depends, right? Sometimes using the parent class approach works better because maybe you want to affect, as you saw, I added the orange class to the container, and all of the my texts within that orange container were affected, right? So, yes, I could go ahead. So here, let me explain what he's speaking about. And of course, I just deleted that swatch. Oh, I'll recreate that really quick. Copy paste. We did a color of orange. Okay, and what Marco is asking is, why didn't we do this? Orange. Okay, let's say I made this a class of orange. Okay, Okay. And what I could have done is I could have done my text orange. Man. Okay. I could have done that. Right. And then, let's say this column had multiple texts in it. Right. Okay. So now I would need to have orange on each one of these. Right. But using the parent class, okay, by using the parent class instead, let me go back to the original. If I do my text with a parent of orange, okay, by doing that, if I add orange here now, I only need to add it once, right? Because now, no matter how many text stacks I add into here, right? Oh, as long as I do my text, right? No matter how many of those I add, it's automatically going to get it because the parent class is orange, right? So it's just two different, ways of doing it. You could do, my text and orange on there, but then you have to, manage multiple different instances. And again, if you want to change it, then you have to go and add the class to everything instead of adding it to one place, right? So by adding the class just to one column stack, I've affected multiple. Hopefully that makes sense. Chris, I did answer Marco's question. So, yeah, cool. Why would you have to put 2 on everyone? Yeah, well, it depends. Maybe, Scott, you had other styles applied to my text, maybe font size or something like that. So, yeah, in this particular simple example that I did, you wouldn't really need to have one, you could just put one. But let's say, for example, you had multiple styles applied to my text and you wanted to apply all those other styles, but you just wanted to override the one, right? You could do that with 2 classes. It would be cool to affect a class when hovering over different class. Example, hover over headline. Yes, I was actually hoping to get something like that in 6.3, but there were some roadblocks in that, and I didn't want to wait for that. That something like that requires JavaScript, and I was hoping to get something like that in this version, but yeah, I hit some roadblocks, so it'll have to be delayed. Yes, I fixed the bug for the hover selector for tabs. Yes, that's been fixed. There was a lot of little fixes in various components here, or now they're called elements. So yeah, a lot of these were fixed. There was tabs was one. I forget, tables was another one. Actually, I think I found during a live stream, I found a bug with tables when we were doing some table styles. So I fixed the table elements, some of the selectors there. I fixed the tab one, and I think there were a couple others that I had found bugs that there were bugs in that we had actually found. So yeah, I fixed a lot of those. Cool. SVG center fixed in 6.3. Yes, SVG centering is actually, I just fixed that this morning. So yeah, actually I totally forgot about that bug until I was playing around with Font Awesome stuff and then realized that, oh, hey, yeah, it's not working. So yeah, centering SVGs works great now. So yeah, thanks for that. Cool. Okay, let's go ahead and start playing around with, oops. Let me just delete some of these, clean up these ugly styles. Okay. Cool. Fun times. Let's start playing with Font Awesome 5. Oh boy. Okay. 1 second. I was actually playing with something. Let me remove it from this really quick. I'm gonna remove that. Oops. Okay. Okay. There we go. So Font Awesome 5. As you know, you can add Font Awesome 4 support right now with features, but now when we click on the features, you'll notice that we have a bunch of new Font Awesome 5 options. Okay. There isn't, Font Awesome 5 is big. Okay. I mean, it's big. It's 8,000 fonts. We don't want to load all those in one go, right? So what I did is we've broken that up into sets. To be fair, I didn't do that. Font Awesome did that. They're already broken out into sets. So if you want the brand icons, you can load that set. If you want the Duotone icons, you can load that set. Because a lot of times you're going to want to use the same style of font, right? So if you're going to use Duotone icons, you're going to probably want to use them everywhere. If you want to use the light icons, you're going to use them everywhere, right? So chances are you might use brands and something else, but a lot of times you're not going to be loading multiple. You could. There's nothing stopping you from loading multiple. But this is a font-based approach. It's the same exact approach as Font Awesome 4. So it downloads and it loads a font file. And then you can put your snippet of code wherever you want on the page, and it just works. Okay. I'm working on an alternate approach as well, which I'll give you. I haven't built the stacks for it yet, but I'll give you a little demo on how that would potentially work. And this is the idea I had this morning, to kind of delay this release a little bit. But let's look at fonts. So let's go ahead. Let's just play with the regular font. So again, you can add as many as you want. Now, if you noticed really quick, when I added that, it did cause edit mode to flicker. And the reason is it loaded the font resources inside edit mode. So that you can actually preview your icons inside edit mode, which is nice. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to add an HTML stack to the page. And I'm just going to add in a Font Awesome 5 code here. 1 second. This one? I think this is the code. Yep. I'll show you some Font Awesome 5 code snippets and where to get those in a little bit. Okay. Actually, there's also, if you click on the icon, there's a little snippet right in here that you can just load in. Okay. And then here's the website that you can get all the information from Font Awesome. So yes, there we go. I loaded my Font Awesome icon. Right? Voila. I have a Font Awesome flag now. Right? And so if we just go to fontawesome.com. What did I open? I opened draft. I need drafts right now. Okay. So if we go to fontawesome.com, you can go to icons, and there is a plethora of icons. Again, 8,000 different icons across 4 or 5 different sets, and pretty much every icon is available in every set, right? So, like here's an air freshener, right? And if you click on that, you'll notice that you can see this has solid, regular, light, and duotone. Okay. And it shows you whether or not one's, again, Font Awesome or Foundation 6 comes with pro licenses. So you have access to all the pro icons now as well. Okay. Now, obviously to get the duotone, you have to load in the duotone font. Okay. Package. I loaded, I think it was the regular. So if we click on regular, basically here's the snippet up here. You just click on that and it copies the HTML for you. Okay. And if we go back into RapidWeaver, I can go ahead and paste that in wherever I want. Okay. And if we preview that, now that's really tiny, right? If you look up here, it's right here. Oops, where is this one? What key is that? There it is. Right? It's tiny, but it's there. Okay. And I'll show you really quick how to, in order to interact. I don't have any sort of stack yet. I probably won't for this release right now. Any stack to integrate or, to kind of choose the settings and sizes and stuff. You'll have to get the snippets. And if you go to the docs here in Font Awesome. Okay. You'll look on the side. There's a bunch of things that you can do. You can size your icons, right? So over here on the side, you can see for styling. You can do fix with icons and list. You can rotate your icons, all kinds of stuff, right? Animating icons, bordered, stacking icons, all kinds of stuff. Okay. So right now, let's just deal with sizing. So if we go to sizing icons, you'll see that they have a bunch of classes that you can add. Okay. So FA X, XS, SM, 3X, 5X, 7X, 10X. There's a bunch of sizes in here, okay, that you can use. So if we just do, let's just do FA10X for right now. And I'll show you some other alternative ways to size this stuff. Oops. We go into the HTML. I'm just going to add this class directly into here. Okay, and there we go. Right, there's my tree. Okay. Now another thing that we could do is, this is in the HTML stack right now, but the text stack actually supports HTML as well, because it's just Markdown, right? So if I paste in my code here, cool, there we go. You'll see that I can actually have my icon inside text. Now, what's the benefits of this? Okay, how can we style our icon? Like, I don't want black icons, right? I want colors. Okay. So and I want better control of sizes, because let's say I don't want font awesome sizes. I want my own. I want this exact size for my icon, right? How do I do that? So we can use swatches to style these, okay? And we can style these icons just as if it was text, okay? So let's go ahead and do a font color, and let's just call it I don't know, my icon. Okay, and we'll do a font color of I don't know, we'll do red. Why not? No, green, because it's that air freshener, right? So we have green, a little bit darker. How about that? Okay, so we have green, and then we want to control size too, right? So let's just do oh, we actually need font style for that. So up here, font style. We'll do my icon, and then we can control the sizes, right? So let's do 50, and you can do different sizes. Oops, I don't want 505. Wow. Okay. So we're going to control the text size on my icon, and that. So now under this text, we're just going to put in my icon. Okay, and there we go. Oh, interesting. I tested font color before. It worked for me. WTF. I thought it inherited. Interesting. Let's see what the color. Let's look at this dev inspector. Ooh, the color is getting overridden by text color. Haha. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Look at that. I mean, so okay, cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and go text colors. And then we're gonna set the text color to green. Set it to my icon. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Yeah. There we go. It's green and it's 50 pixels. We see it right here in edit mode. Okay. Cool. I actually hadn't tested that with the fonts. So it makes total sense now, since it does use the that. Maybe in the future I can create some font awesome icon swatches where, you don't have to add a whole text color swatch just to change the color or something like that. Cool. So here we go. So we can, but we can use the text color. Okay. And then we use, let's do bigger. Actually, let's do 100. Right. Okay. So there's my icon. Now, any icon I can add is, multiple icons in here. Right. That doesn't matter. Now let's say, for example, I know a lot of people, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to insert icons in your menu, right? That's going to be a big one, right? I think let's like home. Okay. I think FA home is that still an icon? I think. So let's search for home. Okay. So let's use, man, they got a lot of home ones now. Look at that. I like some of these. I quite like this one. Let's insert this into a menu for fun. Okay, so we have where I'm using the regulars right now. I don't like that. I don't actually want a solid. Oh, let's do fun. Let's do a duotone. Let's do solid. I think that'll look better in a menu. Okay, so I'm gonna copy this. So I'm gonna have to add solid. Okay. Okay. Let's go ahead and let's add a menu really quick. Menu. Okay. And just for fun, let's just do this. Okay, I'm gonna add in FAS home. We're gonna call this home, right? And I'm not gonna fill out the rest of the menus. Let's just add it to the home button for it now. Okay. But if you look, that is not exactly what I wanted, right? I mean, if you look, it's not loaded. Well, the reason is I'm loading the regular fonts, not the solid fonts, right? So I'm gonna trash the regular font. We're gonna add solid fonts. Again, you can add multiple. Like if I wanted to keep regular on there, there we go. I now have regular and solid fonts loaded. Okay, so we could do that. And if you look now, that home button is in there. Okay. Now you should be able to actually target, specifically target an icon as well by adding classes, right? So like, let's say I wanted to do, if I added my icon on there, right? So I added my icon class. Let's zoom in. So if you see in here, I added, inside the class string, I added my class from my swatch, right? And what that will do, if you look, it actually made it big because we have the font style set to 100 pixels. Obviously, you don't want to do that for a menu, but I just wanted to show you that you can affect that. Now, the reason here that the color is still red is because this uses the menu swatch colors, right? And so it'll inherit the color from the menu swatch. If we wanted to use a font color, here, let's go ahead and let's test something out. If I wanted to use font color here, and let's set it to purple, okay? And we'll do this, my icon. So if you look now, I can use the font color swatch if I add that class directly to my Font Awesome icon classes. How do we style Duotone? Great question, Sarah. I was going to avoid that question because I don't have an answer to it yet. Just being really honest with you. I haven't gotten that far yet. So, yeah, how do we style the two colors? I don't have an answer for that yet. Yeah. Okay. Look, we can play with that though. Because I haven't even had time to play with that. So, but this is a really cool trick, being able to add the classes directly to an icon, and you can specifically style a icon with a swatch just by adding a class. Cool. Okay. So as you see, you can add this stuff anywhere. And if you are using the Rapid Weaver menu, you can add. Here, let's test this out. Why not? While we're going live, I'm gonna do. Let's see on this homepage. Okay, so title of my page. I'm gonna add in that. So I'm gonna add in. Oh, look at that! It actually shows you the icon. That's pretty cool. So we have the icon here. That's very interesting, actually. Okay, so now I added the icon into my page name, and if I use the Rapid Weaver menu, so if I add the Rapid Weaver menu stack here, obviously we're not going to see it in edit mode, but if we preview this page, there it goes. So we have our icon inside. So if you're using the Rapid Weaver menu, you just put the icon, snippets directly in your page name. And that is wicked interesting. That I didn't expect that at all. How is Rapid Weaver doing that? Magical. Very interesting. Okay. Cool. Let me see if there's any, if I wanted to control all different into the same section. What if I wanted to control all different FA icons in the same section? So if you wanted to control, like you could just do, here, let's do, here, I'm going to add in, let's add in this one as well. Okay, so there we go. So now I have two icons in here. Let's say I wanted to control all of these icons from, let's just do, I have a container. I want to control all, icons within a section. Or let's say we want to control all of them on a page, right? If you notice, Font Awesome icons, okay, they all have specific classes already baked in, right? Okay, so maybe this could be a good element that I could add to the page. Okay, so here we have FAR, FAS. There's a few different variants, right? There's, here, let's go back to the Font Awesome website. You'll notice that it has FAS is for solid, FAR, okay, you see here, FAR is for regular, FAL class is for light, and FAD class is for duotone. There's also FAB if you have a brand icon, okay? Well, guess what? We could actually target those classes with a swatch, right? Pretty cool. I didn't even think about this before, right? So like if I wanted all my icons to be the same size on my entire page, I could just style FAR, right? And no, that only affects, yeah, this definitely needs to be an element. Good call. This is fun. So in the release version, I will create an element here, which is Font Awesome icons. Okay, and you can target all Font Awesome icons on the page. Totally cool. Cool idea. Thank you for that. For right now, though, you could target FAR, or if we, here, this, we'll get kind of crazy here. I'll go into CSS. We're going to do .far, comma, .fab, comma, comma, .fal, right, comma, .fad, comma, .far, right? Yeah, no, I did R. We have regular, solid, S. Okay, so now I'm targeting, this is a CSS selector that would target all possible Font Awesome icons, right? If I just copy this and then go to here and go to CSS selector, go there, okay? I will make this an element, so you don't need to know this custom CSS selector. I'll make it, whoops. What did I just do? Not sure what I did. Control Z. Okay. So here, I will make an element in here that will be Font Awesome icons. Okay. That will equal this, so that you can style all Font Awesome icons on the page. And so this way you can define a custom or a default size for all your icons, a default color for all your icons, right? The tricky part comes in when you want to override those styles with a different swatch in particular sections. But that's okay, because then I already taught you how to do that with the parent selector option, right? Which isn't an option in the CSS, but it would be an option if you had element. You could put in a parent class and define a custom style for icons in a particular section, right? Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I like that. Sweet. I like that. Let me make a quick note of that, because I will forget. There we go. I made a note in my notes. I will not forget to add that. Cool. I like it. Let's see if any other questions. What if you want to control in the same section? How would you style Duotone? Okay, let's play with Duotone. I have not played with that at all. Okay, so I verified that they worked, but I never actually loaded them. Okay, let's just delete these. Let's just go ahead and let's load the Duotone font. Okay, and let's play with some of these things. FAD. What's kind of cool is here, if you look here, I just added I just changed FAS to FAD, but the name of the icon actually stays the same, right? So you can kind of flip flop between various font, icon packages just by changing this first class. Okay. So there, I have 2 Duotone icons now. Can you use total CMS macros inside swatches? No. Okay. Let's look at this. I have no clue how these are getting styled. Let's look. Oh, interesting. It has before and after. Okay, totally possible to style these because of how I've built swatches, which is cool. Let's play around. Hold on 1 second. Let me just look at these before. After. Oh, interesting. There's CSS variables. Very cool. FAD after. Okay. So Duotone, there are 2 elements on the page. Okay. And so I'm going to target right now. I'm going to target just the home for right now. Okay. Oh, let's do FAD. I'm going to target FAD. So we're going to do, okay, I'm going to target, we're going to target the class FAD. And if you notice here, oh, actually, that's very interesting. Just by setting the color, it actually kind of automatically styled it nicely, right? So it used the same color, but the opposite part uses that color, but it's an opacity, right? Pretty interesting. But let's it would be possible to actually make them 2 completely different colors. Okay. But that's cool. This is good to know. That's really nice. Let's go ahead and I'm going to target something else. And right now, I'm going to use the on state. And I'm going to use on state after. Okay. And we're going to choose the color to be something different. Boom. Okay. So now, in the after, I have targeted that. If you wanted to target the other part, actually, let's do, if we do before, FAD before, we can target a different color. Let's use red. There we go. All right. So now I have, I've targeted, you can target them completely differently, or what I did here is like, this is the default, and then you can style the after, but these are 3 ways you can target, the Duotone icons. Pretty cool. So use the on state after, you can style, the accent color, I guess you call it, the more transparent color, and then the before targets the main color. Okay. If you don't target a before, this default color will be used, right? So that's pretty slick. I have to say, that was a lot easier than I anticipated it to be. Very cool. Can you use macros inside the normal stack CSS option? Yes, you could use macros inside of CSS. So, because macros only work inside of the HTML, and all of the code that's in a swatch is all stored in the CSS. So if you're a commando and you know CSS, you can use the CSS stack. This one right here. Okay. Or you can use the CSS swatch, which I'll tell you, hint, this CSS swatch and this CSS stack are the same exact stack. So it doesn't really matter. So yeah, you can use this CSS stack, and you can use total CMS macros to your heart content in here, and it will work. Okay. So let me go. Let me take a step back and explain how these work. Okay, these are really cool. I have to say, like, I'm just playing around. I've played around with some things during this live stream that I hadn't played around with before, especially this Duotone thing. Pretty cool. I like it. What are some of the drawbacks, and why did I delay implementing this for 5 months, something like that? It was because I was kind of trying to do the ideal thing, like the best possible implementation of Font Awesome 5. And this isn't the best possible implementation. Okay, and why is that? This implementation that I've done here is pretty much exactly how Font Awesome 4 worked, where you all the icons for, in this case, Duotone, are loaded into a single font file, and it behaves exactly like a font would. And then no matter if you use 1 or 100 icons on your page, it downloads all possible icons, right? And depending on, I mean, every single suite of fonts is a different size, but they're about 150 to 200 kilobytes a pop, right? Granted, I don't think you get too much compression, on a font file because they're already pre-compressed. But so you have that, if you're only using 1 or 2, icons, which are maybe like a kilobyte or 2 each, right? We're downloading, potentially 100 kilobytes to 200 kilobytes of font file, right? But I mean, that font file is cached on the browser, and if you're using multiple icons across multiple pages, it does get cached and not downloaded again. So blah blah blah. Yes, that's 100% true. So yeah, there are a little bit of drawbacks, which is what I don't like about this solution. So there are drawbacks to it. I just want to be fully upfront. That is what's happening, right? But it's also exactly what we've been doing for 8 years anyway, right? Which is kind of like made me think, well, that's kind of how things are in it anyway. So might as well implement what I can now, and we can make things better in the future. Okay. And I do hope to make things a lot better in the future so that only the icons that you request are actually pulled down. That's the ideal solution. Unfortunately, Font Awesome themselves don't even have that solution, right? So it's something I would have to actually build custom, which I do want to do. I think it would be a fun project to do. But I wanted to get this in your hands first, right? Because, it's kind of, having it broken up so we're not loading all 8,000 icons at once, is at least a nicety, right? And it behaves exactly how we've been using Font Awesome for years, right? Now, another thing you could do is you could actually, if you wanted, you could go to here. Yeah, see, they don't let you do that. They don't let you copy the SVG code directly, unless you have like a pro account. So, if you were lucky enough to buy a pro version for yourself for like, it was like $40 way back in the day, you can log in and download the SVG. Okay. You can do that now for the free ones. You can download all the SVGs. But I think if you don't have a pro account, you can't download the SVG. Okay. Now, if you have the SVG, you could just load in the SVG stack here, paste in the SVG code, okay, from that, and you're good to go, right? It's just a normal SVG on the page. Okay. So that's another way to use Font Awesome. You could do that right now in Foundation 6.2. That doesn't require anything I've done in Foundation 6.3. Okay. But then at that point, you would need to use the SVG settings to style it, the fill and the stroke colors and stuff like that. And currently, this wouldn't work with Duotone, so we'd have to figure out how to do that as well. So yeah, what are some other implementation options? Okay. And another thing I'm playing around with, I'm going to go ahead and delete this. And I'm going to, let me paste something in here that I put in here before. Okay. if we look at the current implementation, if we inspect, we inspect these, you notice that these are, if we look at them in the DOM, okay, in the dev inspector, they are just like, they're icons, right? And if you, there's not much, right? They don't look like, they are scalable, infinitely scalable and all that jazz, but because they're fonts, they don't look like an SVG, right? So what if we wanted an SVG, you know, to be displayed? Because some of us love SVGs. Fonts and SVGs, they're both scalable. The only reason you would want to use an SVG instead was if you wanted to like target specific elements with some CSS and whatnot. So with that said, how do we do this? Okay, so one thing, I loaded a JavaScript file that essentially is similar to the fonts. A drawback is it doesn't work inside edit mode. But if we preview this, if we notice here, they're not sized right now. But if I go to here, we'll notice now if I inspect that icon, okay, it is an SVG in the DOM. Okay. So that's one thing I'm playing around with right now. And as you see there, you know, this is an SVG that you can then, you know, there's classes and other things in here that you could play around with, and whatnot. We'd have to figure out a different way to style them with swatches. This is just something I've played around with literally like 30 minutes before this live stream. So, yeah, I'm not going to dive into that. I'll play around with it a little bit, but it doesn't seem quite as user-friendly with styles as the font method. So we might just stick with that. But there are some other methods available out there, and I'm playing with them. And yeah, so cool. That kind of brings us to the end of today. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you look forward to 6.3, right? Get your hands on all the awesome Font Awesome 5 stuff. It really is cool. And I'm glad I decided to finally jump into it with 2 feet, and we have something to play with. And eventually, you know, over time, as we, you know, play with it more and have more ideas, obviously we'll refine things, add some more features, make things better. But this is, I think, a really great starting point. Even though it still uses kind of like the old school Font Awesome 4 loading method, it's what we've been using for years anyway. It's decent. It caches. It is cached. So if you are using a decent amount of icons on your site, it can work well. So anyway, hope you play with that. I should, you know, have this released hopefully by, I'm gonna hope by the end of the week. But we'll see. I do have some other things I have to get done today and tomorrow. Anyway, so take care. Hopefully I'll see you on the Hangout this Friday. Please join us on the Hangout. It's been a lot of fun. We'll probably play around with some more stuff that I've figured out from between now and Friday. On Friday at 1:30 p.m. Pacific. So that's 1 hour from right now. On Friday is when our Hangouts happen. And hopefully I'll see you there. Take care, guys. We will see you next week.